Alright, let's talk about Disney's golden girl, Rachel Zegler, and the absolute disaster that's happening with the live-action Snow White remake. And of course, at the center of it all is Disney's CEO, Bob Iger, who's playing the ultimate game of hypocrisy right now. This guy cannot stick to a single opinion. One minute he's talking about bringing Disney back to its roots. The next he's doubling down on shoving his agenda into every single project, like it's some kind of cure for their crumbling empire. And get this, he just hired a new DEI supervisor, shelling out $200,000 a year to make sure every movie in the Disney pipeline from now until the end of time is drenched in this ideology. But hey, that's Bob Iger for you, more focused on pushing narratives than actually telling good stories. This brings us to Snow White 2025, a film that's basically a ticking time bomb. Let's be real, Rachel Zegler hasn't exactly been taking the heat well. The second the public started pushing back on this movie, she jumped right into blame the audience mode. She's out here pointing fingers at anyone who dares to question what Disney's been doing. Which, by the way, a lot of families are doing. They're flat out boycotting the movie, and you can't blame them after the PR nightmare that Disney has created with this one. But what makes this even worse? Zegler actually had a huge influence on Snow White's new backstory, and she's really proud of it. Can you believe that? She's bragging about rewriting an iconic story, thinking the audience would just go along with it. It's like she's convinced that anyone who doesn't agree with her and Disney's vision is the problem, not the garbage changes they've made. So let's get into it. Disney is in full panic mode right now over these live-action remakes, especially Snow White 2025 and Rachel Zegler, instead of just accepting that people don't want to see their childhoods butchered, gave this absurd statement. According to Zegler, the public is upset because they don't understand the modern female portrayal and the whole feminist empowerment angle she's so proud of. She's basically calling anyone who dislikes this new version of Snow White a sexist dinosaur who refuses to evolve. Like, seriously, Rachel. She went on to say how proud she is of reinventing the story with feminist director Greta Gerwig. And here's where things get extra crazy. Zegler is behind the decision to change Snow White's backstory entirely. She pitched the idea that Snow White got her name from surviving a snowstorm, and Gerwig was apparently so in love with it, they slapped it into the script without a second thought. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why this movie is doomed. Because no one cares about Snow White surviving a snowstorm. What people care about is that these changes feel forced, unnecessary, and like a slap in the face to the source material. But Zegler doesn't see it that way. She's convinced that the backlash is just bigotry and sexism. Yeah, Rachel, it couldn't possibly be that people are tired of watching Disney butcher their favorite characters in the name of pushing an agenda. Oh, and if you thought it couldn't get worse, there's already drama brewing on set. Tensions between Zegler and Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen, are reportedly through the roof. They're having all kinds of personal and professional issues, to the point where reshoots are scheduled for December. And that's on top of the $300 million Disney's already spent on this mess of a film. Now they're about to blow another $25 million just to maybe salvage it. You can't make this stuff up. But here's the kicker. Zegler is still out here blaming the public. She's calling families who won't go see the movie brainwashed by some imaginary narrative that Disney is pushing an ideology. Newsflash, Rachel, it's not imaginary. Bob Iger himself admitted that DEI is now Disney's #1 priority, even more important than the story itself. Remember that leaked Zoom call from a year ago where Disney execs were talking about putting a percentage of LGBTQK and feminist content into every single movie? Yeah, that wasn't some conspiracy theory, that's their actual plan. Zegler, though, refuses to admit any of this. Instead, she's doubling down, saying she's proud to be the face of Snow White and that the criticism is just sexist noise. She's acting like this film is some kind of beacon for women everywhere in 2024, as if Snow White is the savior we've all been waiting for to lead us into the light. Honestly, I don't know what world she's living in, but it's clearly not the one the rest of us are in. At the end of the day, this movie is shaping up to be an even bigger flop than Disney's other disasters, like The Acolyte. You'd think after all the financial failures Disney has racked up recently, they'd learn something. But no, they're going full steam ahead with this nonsense. And if they keep this up, the boycotts are just going to get worse. So Rachel, keep blaming the audience all you want, But the truth is, nobody's buying what you and Disney are selling anymore.